Hey everyone, welcome back. I'm Michael, and we're going to be getting right back into some more Reddit stories. If you enjoy the video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe. Now, without further ado, let's begin. This story was posted by a user named Yo Yulju in the True Off My Chest subreddit. The post is titled, "My wife just stopped talking to me. I don't know when it started, but now it's just silence. It's not like we had a big fight. There wasn't even a clear moment. One day we were laughing over dinner, and now she barely says more than a few words to me in a day. No, good morning, no, how was your day? Nothing, just silence. She still does everything around the house, she still takes care of the kids, she still shows up, but emotionally, it's like I'm a ghost. I asked if something was wrong. She said, I'm just tired, but this tired has lasted months. I don't cheat, I don't lie, I work hard, I try, but I feel like I'm losing her, and I don't even know why. Has anyone else experienced this? What did you do?" Update. I didn't expect this post to get so much attention. Thank you all for your comments, stories, and honesty. I read many of them, and then I did something that felt terrifying at first. I shared the post with my wife. We sat together, in silence at first, but then for the first time in what felt like forever, we talked, really talked. She cried. She told me how heavy everything felt, that even though I wasn't trying to hurt her, it felt like she was carrying the weight of two people all the time. Dishes, laundry, school drop-offs, doctor's appointments, meal planning, the invisible labor that so many people in the comments mentioned, it was real, and she'd been drowning in it, and I just hadn't seen it. Our kids are 8 and 6. They're wonderful, but anyone with little ones knows how draining that phase of life can be. Add to that a partner who's unknowingly been more of a roommate than a teammate, and yeah, the silence made sense. So I started small. I took over some of the chores without being asked. I made dinner last night. I planned a fun weekend activity with the kids, just me and them, so she could have a real break. And next week we're all going on a little family adventure together. Something light, something fun, something healing. It's going to take time, but for the first time in a long time, I feel hope. And I owe so much of that to you all. Thank you, truly." Sarita Sai said, "It's also great he recognizes the importance of starting small, going from 0 to 60 with grand gestures and big promises about how you'll do everything from now on, no matter how well-intentioned, will only lead to more resentment when you inevitably can't follow through. The small changes might seem unimpressive, but it's all about consistency, proving that your actions do live up to your promises, so your partner really knows they can trust that the changes are real." Author K.R. Paul said, "I love how this is turning out. I love that while he didn't see it at first, once he did, he owned it, took full accountability, and is taking proactive steps to help. I hope his wife gets the support she needs from him and that they can find their balance together again." Who's your cat? Daddy said I used to refer to this as eye of the storm syndrome. I hadn't seen anything that was wrong even when there was obviously a storm around me because it wasn't affecting me, that is, until the storm shifted. And usually by then it was too late. I've lost a relationship in the past because of that. It may not have been right for the wife to emotionally shut down either, but I get that she probably got to the point where she was just picking her battles and decided it wasn't worth trying to work with OP anymore. If it had gone on much longer, she'd be filing for divorce and OP would be wondering where it all went wrong. Hopefully this serves as an object lesson to him that he's needed to step up as much as she does. As long as they remember this incident and what might have been, I think they'll be okay long term. This next post was made in the same subreddit by a throwaway account. The post is titled, "My MIL decided to gossip with my daughter about my marriage. This blew a giant hole in my life. My wife cheated on me nearly 10 years ago. I won't get into the specifics as they're unimportant, but due to the fact that I saw blame on both of our parts, I forgave her and we moved past it. My daughter is 16 years old and she only just found out from my mother-in-law, who seems to have decided she was old enough to hear the family gossip and that she would be mature enough not to confront her. Initially, my wife thought I had told her and came into my office where I had been to ask me what the hell I was thinking and whether I was trying to destroy their relationship. She refused to believe that I hadn't said anything at first until my daughter entered the room and joined in on the screaming that I was too weak and her own mother had sold her out. The fighting went on for a long time, and honestly, I may as well not have been there for all the good I did. I tried to step between them when I was concerned, but that only ended with some ringing in my ear. Haha. Eventually, my wife left to cool off, and my daughter and I could talk. She wasn't happy with me either and didn't hesitate to tell me so, but she wasn't screaming or throwing things anymore, so I just let her get it out. She asked me why I stayed, and I was honest that I was no perfect husband, and I decided not to end my marriage, break up our home, and destroy her childhood for something that I held some blame in as well. The entire time I was speaking, she just kept watching me with this sad face that made me uncomfortable, but when I finished, she just shook her head and said that I needed to leave my wife and that the cheating wasn't the only issue. She started bringing up every insignificant flaw my wife has. I told her as much, but she just kept shaking her head. It ended up turning into an argument where she insisted I was some sort of victim and was making some kind of getaway plan. I kept trying to talk her down, but that was going nowhere. I first tried my wife, but found my call went straight to voicemail, so I called my mother-in-law to inform her of the situation. My wife had already made it there and planned to stay overnight to calm down because she didn't want to see either of our faces. It's been a few days now and I still haven't seen her or heard from her, but her mother informs me she's okay, just very emotional. So I'm also scared for my wife. Edit: to the people who have commented or private messaged me to say I shouldn't care. My wife almost died the last time she had an episode, and I don't think even my daughter, as angry as she is right now, wants her mom dead. My daughter told me she hopes her mother never comes back. I'm just feeling defeated and tired. I've done everything I can to keep this family floating, and somehow I'm still failing. It's beginning to feel like I always do, at everything, and always will fail at everything as long as I live. A year later, OP gave us an update. It's been a while. I probably will regret posting this as much as I did the first time, though for different reasons. Before I begin, I want to thank all the kind people who reached out with genuine advice and with whom I had lovely conversations. I appreciate you more than I can say. Checking my history, I saw that I never updated after the conversation with my daughter about her situation with my wife. We talked and it went worse than I expected, but better than most of the comments. She never hit my daughter or threatened her. My daughter did bring up the yelling and I listened, though she said she was never afraid of her mother, but she started to hate her when she noticed how she treated me, hence the change in appearance and rebelling. She liked that I stood up for her when it came to her new style because then I was standing up for something. That makes me laugh a bit now, but at the time I was confused. We talked a long time and she said she thought maybe she could get over the resentment she had for her mother if she didn't have to see the way she treats me. I didn't much like that at the time, and I admit I argued that I was an adult and that she didn't have to fight my fights for me. My daughter said something like, "If I don't, who will?" And it just kind of stopped me in my tracks, because my only answer, "Sometimes you have to pick your battles," sounds weak when you pick none of them. I still intended to try to work on my marriage despite the comments. I really hope to turn things around because of their previous relationship and frankly, how much I still loved my then wife. But then she didn't come home for weeks. I don't know if it was my daughter's needling or the fact that I could tell she was upset at being abandoned by her mother at the first sign of trouble. But one day I eventually reached out and asked my ex-mother-in-law when my wife was going to come home and act like an adult, and was told she was looking into divorce attorneys, and that if I wanted her back, I should really work on getting my daughter to apologize. It all felt so manipulative and I just got so angry. I just hung up and spoke to my own lawyer. After being served, she tried to come back and cried that it was her mental health, but I was still so angry I just shut her down and told her to leave. The divorce was finalized a while ago. My daughter stays with me most of the time since her mother moved out of state afterward and she wants to go to college in the area when the time comes. She visits her grandmother and speaks to her mother on the phone sometimes. As much as I hate to admit it, their relationship is improving since the divorce. I don't hate my ex-wife, even if many, including my daughter, categorize her as abusive. She's the first woman I ever really clicked with in that way, and though I don't love her anymore, probably the last. I don't mind it so much. I have a full life without her around and a quieter one as well. But anyway, thank you all again for listening, and I am bracing for I told you so's. I don't blame you, you did. A sassy Titan said, "I feel like the kids are always over it before the parents. I called my parents' divorce years before it actually happened. I'm a Mage said, God, this hits way too close to home. I could literally be the daughter in this situation, right down to the abusive mother and borderline enabling father. But he never listened to me in my story. It wasn't until my sister and I figured out she was cheating on him that my dad finally divorced my mother. I'm glad OP grew somewhat of a spine, and I hope the daughter is thriving now. This final post was made in the relationship advice subreddit by a user named Popcorn Shrimp. The post is titled, I think a nap ruined my marriage. I am married to my husband. I'll probably delete this in the morning, but I need to scream into the void. I've been married for under a year, but with my husband for 6. We have a 3-month-old little girl who's fantastic. I'm a first-time mom and a stay-at-home mom. My husband works from home. My husband isn't dumb, just emotionally inept sometimes. I've had a lot of resentment building since I was pregnant. His mom tormented me through my pregnancy by talking about miscarriages, stillbirths, and saying dead baby to me every time my husband wasn't around. She denied it, he sympathized with me, but nothing was ever truly done. Since I gave birth, my husband's just been clueless. When I was recovering, he would go home and sleep, leaving me all alone because the couch was uncomfortable. I had to call him 20 times to get him to wake up and come back to the hospital because I was lonely. Then when we left, he was asking me to carry things to the car with him. The nurse had to tell him I shouldn't be carrying anything, I'd just given birth. When we got home, he complained about his lack of sleep. I was struggling to learn how to nurse. He was my cheerleader through nursing. I have to give him credit there. As the first 2 months went by, I was consistently bawling about how sleep deprived I was while he was getting 8 to 10 hours of uninterrupted sleep every night. It caused a lot of fights because I couldn't hear him tell me he was exhausted without having a meltdown. Then his mom would come over and they'd leave a huge mess for me to clean on more than one occasion. He complained about the basement being messy, so I helped him lift things and clean it up. It caused me to start bleeding heavily, and my doctor told me I shouldn't be lifting anything heavy. This is a point of contention because my husband continuously asked me to help him lift heavy things and I couldn't, so he'd get annoyed. Then he'd complain about it all day. Now we're at month 3 and I think my marriage is over. We've been distant ever since the baby arrived and I haven't wanted to have sex or be affectionate. My husband has been asking if I'm alright a lot and I say I'm fine. I don't know what else to say, but I feel miserable and tense up every time he walks into the same room as me. Today, he was on my case about walking our dog. I'm so exhausted from exclusively breastfeeding and I don't have the energy to walk her. I had been up since 2:30 a.m. with my baby and just couldn't handle anything else on my plate. So he whined and moaned about doing it, but promised me I could nap. I snapped and reminded him that I haven't slept a full 8 hours in months. He got pissy and stormed off. He avoided me the entire day and locked himself in his office. I spent the rest of the day randomly breaking down in full-blown sobs because I was so tired. 11 p.m. hit and he still hadn't come out of his office, so I finally broke and went to get him. He gave me the cold shoulder and I just broke down. All the lack of support just broke me. I told him I hated him, I wished I could go home, and I even mentioned divorce. He calmed me down and apologized for being selfish. When I asked what he did all day, he said he napped. He napped the whole day. While I was struggling to keep myself standing, he was napping. I broke down. I cried and cried. He was apologetic and showering me with sorries and I love yous. For the first time ever, I couldn't tell him I loved him too. Now it's 2 a.m. and I can't sleep because I'm so distraught. He's snoring next to me and I just hate him right now. I want to take my baby and run away. I don't want to live here anymore. Being a single mom seems easier than dealing with all this emotional stress and neglect. What am I supposed to do? I just can't believe I'm ready to leave him all because he took a nap. Update. So I talked and he listened. I told him I couldn't do this anymore and that something needed to change immediately or I was going to go back home and take my baby with me. He stared at me, confused, but then he realized I had 2 bags packed by my dresser, ready to leave. I finally was able to articulate all the resentment that had been building. His mom's cruel and careless behavior, feeling abandoned at the hospital and now at home, and how it feels that everything falls onto me so he can bring a paycheck home. I realized after saying all this that I hadn't really told him how I was feeling. I had just continued to bottle it up. He was defensive at first, and I gave him one warning that if this conversation was filled with excuses, I was walking out. So he stopped and truly listened. He was genuinely remorseful. He only said sorry once at the end, and he meant it. Then he started asking me what I needed him to do. We made a plan, and I finally feel like I can breathe a little easier. He has dog walks handled indefinitely. My mother-in-law is banned from the house and is to have no contact with me or my baby. Once my husband's off work, I'm off duty for the day. I'll still breastfeed because I want to do that. I get a lot of fulfillment out of it, and if you saw the way my baby pats my boob when she nurses, you would too. Her big hazel eyes are like a drug. I'm typing this while soaking in a warm bath. I've been promised the weekend to decompress and sleep to my heart's content. I'll pump instead of nurse this weekend, and we have a stash of frozen milk he is planning on using. He knows what needs to be done, her routine, and how much to feed her, so I know he's capable. I can actually hear him unloading the dishwasher right now. We are planning on doing something as a couple one day out of each weekend, so I don't feel like just a mom, I can be a person too. We are going to go to couples counseling, and I'm going to start individual therapy. He didn't have a dad who showed him what love looked like. He had an adult toddler as a father who threw tantrums and verbally abused him and his mother. My husband often comments on how my dad drops everything in a nanosecond for me and how he wants to be like that, but he's not. He's failing me and his daughter. That was really tough for him to hear. So now we take it day by day. If he's actually capable of change, I'll have to wait and see. My bags are still packed and by the door. I guess I have them there as a reminder to myself that leaving is an option at any moment I please. That makes me feel a little better. I'm hopeful but not delusional. I know we might not be able to come back from this, and that's okay. I have to take care of myself, so my little girl has a mama who smiles at things besides her. I have an appointment scheduled for a postpartum depression screening, and my mom's planning on visiting at the start of next month. My family is ready with their door wide open when I choose to come home. It made me cry to hear my dad tell me he'll be on the first flight when I'm ready so I don't have to fly home alone. Thank you all for letting me spill my guts. Squilliam Fancy Son said, "You're leaving him because he's a bad father and an even worse husband, not because he took a nap." Throwaway for Privacy said, "He is incredibly selfish. That's way beyond being emotionally inept." Cascading Tundra said, "Yeah, there would be no coming back from even a fraction of this if it was me. Mama, he put your health at risk multiple times to carry and lift things for no reason. There's a very good reason doctors tell you not to do those things after birth or surgery. I'm so sorry. Also, his mother can get fucked. What the hell? If he knew about her taunting you and saying dead baby and didn't tell his mother to fuck off, I would have been done with him then. I'm so sorry. Please move on. You deserve much, much better than what that man has to offer." Thank you so much for making it to the end of the video, and thank you also to partner of the channel, Gamersupps. Use code DLAM to support the channel and get 10% off of your purchase, link in the description. I'm sure many of you like me have a hankering for daily caffeine, so go check them out. Lately, I've been a big fan of Titty Milk and Acid Rain, but they've got dozens of other flavors for y'all to try out. Anyway, thanks again for reaching the end, and I hope you all have an amazing passage of the next 24 hours.